so much. I think the other player that comes to mind is Cuckoo, who enjoys it as well. But again, most teams tend to avoid it quite a bit. Still, final bans to come out before we can see these drafts finished off. If you're not going to run the Quap mid, is there a particular pick you'd like to see, John? In fact, before I allow you to answer that question, it seems like we might see a CK offlane here for Apes Sports and maybe another position 1 to come out.
Pause 1 up against the Terrorblade. You could just... It's an awkward one. You do have a very fast-paced lineup. I feel like a Medusa could still fit in, though, for the Apes if they want that for Jacroy instead. That could be one route to go. Just create chaos with Quap, with your 2 supports, with CK. Farm up in the Medusa. Medusa matchup versus Terrorblade. Not the worst. There's an option for a Drow as well. I think that's one of the heroes considered as a Terrorblade counter because of because of a precision shot, kind of piercing through a lot of base armor. So a Drow could work. I know you're not the biggest fan of it here. We've seen it win a couple of times though, Mike. So, leave the analysis to me. It's my job. Drow would be okay, but you don't have the best jump from TNC to deal with it. I guess you're relying a lot on the Pangolier to roll forward. There is still a lot of room on the mid, but a lot of the highly mobile heroes have been taken out. The Yoa Special Invoker's been banned as well. Puck's already been banned, so you don't really have many options to catch a backline Drow. And even then, as we've seen in a couple of matches, as we saw yesterday, Mike, a Drow can still be well protected if the team plays around it. So even if you have that jump, it can be tough.
It certainly can be, Jonathan. Mind you, that game, Palos was playing that Drow, and, I guess it's one of his signature heroes, and he was doing a very good job of just keeping up in that net worth, always ahead. I feel like that's the kind of circumstances where Drow actually works, right? Like, if you could just keep her ahead of net worth constantly and allow her to hit that timing, say the 25-30 minute mark, that's when things get very scary going against the Drow Ranger. But now, though, TNC Predator, they're going to run the mid laner. I guess it's a very safe pick here for TNC because in case you're against the Quap mid, you don't really care anymore because you have Lena, who doesn't really lose mid lane, regardless of whatever matchup she's against. More importantly, though, where's Ape Esports going with their draft? Is it another POS 1, or are we looking for an off lane? Or even a mid lane?
It's really open. I think you just run the Lena Quap. I mean, again, that tends to favor Lena. Some people seem to think that the Quap should win, but as we've seen time and time again, the Lena tends to win out. I think you just keep that lane. You run the CK safe lane, have something else in the off lane. I feel like you're kind of lacking big initiation, big team fight control coming out, and you only really have what? Inkswell Blink in from the Quap, Inkswell Reality Rift in the CK, maybe a good Bushwhack from the tree line. Not the best. Now, mind you, TNC doesn't have the most amazing as well, but they have Rolling Thunder, which is big. And then down the line, if your Keeper of Light finds farm, you can get the Ags, you can steal some spells with a Rubik. Inkswell on the Pangolier is going to be nice if you can manage to do that combination. So maybe something else on the offlane here to give them some fight. I believe, do we still have Sand King? I'm kind of blind. Sand King is still an option. Oh, it's been banned, all right. My bad. I love Master could be one way to handle it.
I love how you're taking off your glasses to try and see what the hell's going on. The funny thing was, John, you lifted up your glasses. I still couldn't see your eyes. Like, they're so closed right now.
They are. It's just that the Dota screen is dark in the draft. It's like red dark, so I've got to lift it, but everything else is like too bright. A Brewmaster would be decent. Nice, they go with Lesh, so they shift things around. It's probably going to be our offlane Quap mid Lesh. Could be one way to go. And no, they're keeping the Mamangdaya Quap. Safe lane Lesh for Jacroy, an off lane CK for the Lull. Yes, okay, so we're going with safe lane Lesh. That does give them some quick momentum, allows them to push towers fast. I think this ties in the Apes draft really nicely because they have really early timings. They can force these objectives fast. For TNC, I mean, you've got the TB Lena. These two cores are fairly greedy. Like, Bach could try to make plays, but we've seen Lena's go for Travels BKB. You're not quite ready to go until that point. And even at that point, you might be waiting for your Shadow Blade. You might be waiting for your Dragonlance. You might be waiting for damage. So the Lena is like this big secondary farming core that tends to be your primary farming core, but with a TB on hand, that farm distribution could be an issue for TNC.
It certainly could be, John, and I think the last pick, Lesh, was quite a smart pick from Ape Esports now, because they've got this really kind of quick-paced draft that hits its power spike, say, after the 15-20 minute mark, and then you could just start moving. Obviously, Lesh doing very well against the Terrorblade as well, and you might kind of rely on Yoen now to be able to carry you through this game, because it's not going to be so simple anymore for Young God. I guess we'll have to see, though. This is game 1 of the best of 3, and again, there's a hell of a lot to play for either team. Though I'd say TNC are the ones that are a bit more desperate for the win right now, as they have a higher chance of making it past relegation and not having to leave the DPC altogether. Just really weird to say about TNC Predator, because it felt like just last year, this was one of the top teams in SCA, and we'd always be able to hype them up, and everyone knew who they were, and they were the biggest name with the biggest viewership, and how far they've fallen, Jonathan.
I mean, it's just the nature of those trades, you know. TNC's original roster broke up. They lost Gabby, Tims, and Armel, and I think a big part of that success in TNC really was that trio that's been around together. So,
yeah,
TNC's trying out a new generation. You know, it's been rough and tumble. They've been sort of sticking together since Tour 1, and I think they've slowly improved, but there's a lot more room to grow. To be that big predator that they are. And the Apes, again, they're not going to make that simple. It's funny as well, Mike, because we've seen that matchup before with Apes and Talon, where it was a hawk versus a monkey. TNC is a phoenix versus the monkey. So let's see if this time around the Apes can finally put those birds down, you know? Birds aren't real, Mike, and
yes,
the Apes would like to crush those drones.
Yes, they are, Jonathan. The Phoenix is real, John. Don't say that. Phoenix is the best bird. We all know. I mean, well, what chance does a monkey have against a Phoenix, John? I mean, it's literally a firebird that can heal itself and regenerate and give birth to itself, John. What chance does a monkey have? All they've got is, like, evolution.
they've got the chance to use tools, Mike. You know, a phoenix doesn't have opposable thumbs. Monkeys, well, they've got some thumbs there. They've got the limbs to carry stuff, Mike, to make tools, to beat you down with clubs. What does a phoenix do? Breathe fire? They could hold a fire extinguisher on the Apes if you give them some.
Well, hold on a minute.
They can protect themselves from heat.
They don't breathe fire, John. They're not dragons, right?
Well, but they're made of fire, right? And Phoenix has sunray and he's spitting out fire, right?
Yeah, but that's not... I don't think that's not... It's not how it's meant to work, John. I mean, I don't think Phoenixes actually have a sunray like this game has. But you know what? We may as well change the skill as well for Phoenix in this game. Just Sunray is just not... It's not legit enough. Change it up a little bit. Like, what if it had like a proper healing spell where it just, you know, just regenerates? Like, just you hit him and he just has full HP no matter what. I love that idea.
What's wrong with you? I'm glad you're not in the balance team, Mike, because this game would be
maybe I am
highly enjoyable. I'm not sure what you're on. You're a very interesting person, Mike, and quite frankly, I think you need help.
I agree, John. Especially after yesterday when I saw you cheating on me again. We haven't talked about it yet, but you've cheated on me once again, Jonathan. Do you want to explain yourself to the viewers? Because a lot of people were asking, where the hell's MLP?
Look, you know, duty called. My boy needed me. He needed some backup.
Your boy?
I got called in. One of my boys. You know, I have a lot of boys, Mike. You at number one, but I'm a social guy, as you would know. So I've got a lot of boys that I got to take care of, Mike. It is what it is. I'm sure you understand.
Give us some translations while you're here, John. Can you translate what they're saying for us?
All right. UK is saying good morning, and Yo is saying it's the afternoon.
Well,
and that's it. That's as far as it goes. And UK is like, what is that? Oh, yeah. Who taught UK a lot of Filipino? That is very terrifying. He's like, so he says good morning. He always says it's afternoon or lunch, and then UK is like, what is that? He doesn't know what tanghali is.
Oh.
All right. That's the limits of your Tagalog, UK. I appreciate the effort. It's always funny to see people speak Filipino when they don't, when they're not from here. It's always great to see. It makes me feel good because it means that I'm not the only clueless one with my own language, Mike. Other people struggle with it too, even though I'm Filipino.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is it's not their language. You can forgive UK. Like, he's speaking another language, John, but I don't know what your excuse is. Till this day, I just can't believe you can't speak Tagalog, fluently.
I mean, I speak it. I would say Fluently, sure, and native speaker, but I wouldn't say I'm amazing at it.
Yeah.
It's like my
heard
accent's
it.
kind of wonky.
I've heard you Tagalog, John. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, Jonathan. You've got to fix that crap up.
I don't know if I've told the story. There was a time where I was just hanging around my mom's office, right? My tito, my uncle was there, just sitting around, doing some work. My friend calls me up on my phone. And with my friend, sometimes I speak Filipino. So pick up the phone, I said, "Oy, kumusta? Saan tayo magkita?" Stuff like that. Like, how are you? Where are we meeting up? What time are we meeting up? And then my uncle across the office room just starts laughing like a madman. He literally just laughs like a madman. He's like, and I start laughing on the call too. And when I drop, I'm like, what's funny? It's like, your Filipino is funny, man. Your accent's just so cooked. Lutong. My accent's really cooked. It's I think most people would say it's a Konyo accent. At least most people in like Manila. It's like a English speaker's accent. I don't think it's really Konyo. It's just really stiff. Not quite. Konyo's a different thing entirely. But yeah, that's my story with my Filipino mic.
Thank you for that.
It got my uncle laughing. It's a good time.
Well, shout out to your uncle, John. What is your uncle's name? Give him a shout out.
Tito Ted. Ted Uy. That's his name.
Oh, well, hold on. What's his first name?
Ted.
Ted.
T-E-D. Yeah, Ted.
All right. Shout out to Ted. Hopefully Ted's out there watching right now. Probably not, John, because, can't even speak his damn language.
Man.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
Yeah.
He's going to watch John X Fire for. Maybe
Exactly.
let him know I'm casting, John. He'll be very interested.
Maybe so. But fortunately, the unpause is there, Mike. We are back into the game. Smoke on smoke. Let's see if someone finds an angle here.
Carlo backs off at the right time. Jitroy, we're going to still see him as the stun is going to fly out into the split earth, and that be first blood. They'll give it over to Mamang Daya. So it looks like the LoL wanted to take it on the Chaos Knight, but I think you're much better off giving it to the Quap. And look how close Mamang Daya is going to be to that bottle now, John. Already 566 gold on the Queen of Pain.
30 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be a really strong start for the Quap. You're going to have that early sustain up against the Lina. Very important for this hero. That does mean you start with Scream of Pain level 1, but up against a ranged hero like Lina anyway, you're really not going to be walking up to Shadow Strike. You'll be focusing more on your CS. So this sets Mamang Daya up nicely, and they're still in a position to contest that bot rune spot as well.
They certainly are. I mean, they could still go for another fight if they really wanted. Even with the first blood already up, I mean, why not? They won't bother though. It is going to be a 2 for 2 it seems. They do get a 2 for 2 in the end. It's like Jitroy does show up there for a moment, landing a split earth, but that's about it. Nothing to write home about. Great start here for the Apes though. Terrible start for TNC Predator. And I suppose... oh, hold on that thought. Carlo. He's still going. Jitroy thinking about going for the fight. UK also around, and Carlo taking quite a bit of damage, but now Febi's going to show up. Not sure about this from TNC. It's Febby. He will TP down to the bot lane. He was just trying to get some D wards off. Doesn't really end up working out for him, but regardless, I suppose we'll start with the top lane while we're here. Jitroy and UK going to be up against Bok and Carlo. How do you feel about this laning stage, John? Should one side have the advantage or the other?
It doesn't feel like the greatest lane for Bok. You're up against two ranged heroes. Carlo, you're going to have to work hard to just keep spamming Fade Bolt, maybe look for an opportunistic telekinesis down the line, although not usually a priority. You're just going to be whittled away here on this Pangolier. We're already seeing the Stroke of Fates down the line, the Split Earth Threat, the Lightning Storm. It's just going to be piling up onto Bok, and there's not much Carlo can do. So I expect this to be a great time for Jitroy. Bok just going to have to take what EXP he can, maybe just, pull back some waves and just farm as best as he can, because contesting Lush likely not to happen all too well in this lane.
Now, hold on a minute. Well, before we leave this lane, John, I can't help but notice that you're pronouncing his name a different way. So is the R silent? It's not Jitroy, it's Jikoi.
Jitroy. It's Jitroy.
Jikoi, right.
Jitroy. I'm saying the R. Am I not? Oh no.
You're not
My
saying
pronunciation
the R.
in English is also weird.
I'm relying on you to know how to pronounce these names, Jonathan.
I am saying Jitroy.
Oh.
I'm saying Jitroy. It's with the R. Maybe I just say it softer, gentler, Mike. Gentler.
I think you're just too excited about the T1 Boom matchup later on. You biased bastard. Already saying Jipoy's name, eh?
What do you mean? There's a town game later, Mike. What do you mean?
Very true. Of course, mid lane, John, Mamang Daya and Yoe going to be up against each other. Yoe currently leading 13-3. To be expected, though, it is the Lena vs. Quap matchup. it is always probably going to favor the laner. Let's never mind that for a second, because top lane, Jacroy, he's going to be fine. Just falling very low on the Leshrac. Salve cancelled, though, with the swashbuckle. That's a very valuable maneuver there from our Pango. So Jacroy now, a bit of an awkward situation where he's going to rely on tangos from UK, but does leave him very vulnerable here on this Leshrac.
This is a scary time. It's not going smoothly in this lane. 73 compared to box 9 to 1. So forget all what I said. Apparently just the swash spam is enough to hold Jacroy back, and they're not able to really punish Bok as much. He is starting to drop low. You do need to build up that farm on the Lesh. You want to hit your timing with the Arcane Boots into the Hood of Defiance, into the Eternal Shroud, and any delay from Bok kind of kills off the timing for the Lesh just a bit. So got to work the lane a little bit better. Maybe by level 3, level 4, it feels a lot stronger for the Lesh with higher level spells. The spam becomes really annoying for Bok.
Yeah. Back to the mid lane though, John. I mean, Yoa is still leading in CS. Again, it seems to be expected. I suppose Mamang Daya just happy to keep up right now and just ensuring he doesn't take too much harassment. You think there's anything in particular Mamang Daya can do? In fact, hold that thought, because you just saw the Shadow Strike land, but as soon as he moves in for it, Yoa is always going to land that Light Strike array.
Yep, it's rough as top lane we do manage to find UK. So the aggression is still piling up here from TNC up top. Apes have to be really cautious about, giving too much to Bok. Once that Pangolier gets running, it doesn't stop rolling. It just keeps going on. You're going to have to rely on Soulbind to really keep him down. That's not very reliable. It's Jacroy.
Yeah, I think he's gone a bit too far here, Jonathan. He's going to try and back off. In fact, never mind. Split Earth is there. It's the Stroke of Fate, and with the Lightning Storm, he'll have enough damage to chase down Carlo now on that Rubik, and this might just be another. The UK kind of messing up the Inkswell is going to cost his Leshrac his life, and eventually will take the kill. Bit surprising that UK doesn't Inkswell Jacroy instead.
Yeah, it looked like he was just out of range and just wanted to get the Inkswell off ASAP, so he figured he could run up. He doesn't have boots. Moving up there was a bit slower. In the end, that does feel like it favors the Apes, despite, trading your core away. At least your core found the kill first, and does compensate for those earlier deaths. So you are seeing that back and forth now with the levels up. The damage output of Lesh is shooting up. Have to be careful with how far you commit here on TNC.
That final lane we haven't even looked at yet, John. LYM and Delol going to be against Young God and Febby. I did say this should be a very aggressive lane from the Apes, but I suppose you do have some issues going after the Terrorblade. Again, that high base armor going to make it kind of annoying for Delol to get that right-click damage off. You could always just aim for Febby instead, but it does seem like Febby has been very careful with his own positioning, just not allowing the opening for a bushwhack or a stunt to fly out. So far, I mean, while they are still leading CS, you got to give props to Young God. Like, he's still doing a pretty decent job considering the matchup.
He's still finding some farm. It's not as much as you'd like. You're seeing kind of both the safe laners struggle up against the off lanes, and the off lane of the Apes is getting a lot more than the off lane of TNC right now. The Lul getting a lot more than Bok. This is going to lead to his faster timings into the power treads, and the fast level 6, that's when the CK really feels scary. You pop the Phantasm, Real 2 Rift in, you're going to be melting these supports really fast, and that's the major concern for TNC. So the strong start for the Apes is looking pretty good. Of course, Febby can kind of rotate around. You can see that emphasis onto mid-mic. All the supports coming in for that 6-minute rune.
Absolutely, and the Arcane Rune is going to be there for Mamang Daya, so no real thought process here for the Quap. Just getting very lucky with the Power Rune being down bot side. Still, I thought maybe we'd see a rotation out from this Lena, but Yoa, he's going to sit back and keep that farm going on the Lena. Always kind of have to remind myself that the Lena's a little bit different these days and is more farm reliant than anything. He will push in the mid wave, but Mamang Daya not going to leave. In fact, props to the Quap as well. Like, considering how slow of a start it was for Mamang Daya, he's doing really well right now. Only 1 CS behind the Lena.
Yeah, he's just working the side camps well, clearing out the wave. He's not under too much pressure, not giving the opportunities for Yoa to go for those kills. It still feels a lot better for TNC. A bigger Lena feels scarier than a bigger Quap, but you are still hitting those timings on Mamang Daya. He's got level 7, Sonic Wave is up. He could look for that opportunity on the side lanes if he felt the need to, but for now, just satisfied farming. Double Null's up. He has enough mana to get off his entire repertoire of spells, and they're also managing to build some decent stacks in the triangle. So there's some good catch-up form for the Lesh, for the Quap to kind of clear out later down the line as well.
Absolutely. Still 2-3. Very slight net worth lead here for the Apes. But that's about it. I mean, not really too much else going on right now. Both teams just trying to secure their own kind of farming leads. As Jacroy going to try and move on to Bok. It's actually a fair bit of damage, but they didn't have the Ingsword to follow up, so Jacroy does eventually just back out of there. It almost kind of feels like there's a bit of communication lacking between Jacroy and UK right now, just based off the way they're playing, but I suppose it could have just been a bit of harassment anyway.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Yeah, I think that would have been a bit too deep to dive under the tier 1. You don't really have the dive out edict from Jacroy. Hero. Oh,
He's okay. Thought Carlo would go for the lift back, but even then it wouldn't have been enough time to actually get the damage output out. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane looks like they are going to find Young God. The Delol and LYM eventually end up picking up the Terrorblade. Looks like Febby was too busy trying to really just push out the bot wave to actually address the TB situation.
and that's the spike we were talking about from the CK. Level 6 is up. You just pop the Phantasm, run someone down. Reality Rift helps soften up the Terrorblade. It's a good amount of minus armor, and that gives you a window to just kill him off. Not the highest HP, not the highest EHP at this point in the game, no stats items yet. So Young God is very exposed, and you're going to need to help him out. He is starting to play in the jungle. He doesn't have stacks prioritized for himself. That is going to Yoe. So the progression on RTV this game feels like it's going to be slowing down because, again, you have a Lina on hand as well, Mike. And Yoe wants that farm too.
Yeah, you never really want to be fighting over farm with the other teammates you have, as Mamang Daya, speaking of fighting over farm, right now needs to fight Yoe and Carlo. That bot is even going to show up here. The lift is going to be there into the Light Strike Array. Very nice. They just chain everything perfectly, and they'll get all the stacks for themselves now on TNC.
Very, very big take for Yoe. Swinging in, finding that kill, taking the stack. His net worth's piling up. He is going for a BKB rush on Lina. So not opting for the travels, which is a bit greedier. Just wants to be able to stand and fight. I like this change up from Yoe, going for more of a tempo Lina. And there is that clump up onto mid. They do have decent push potential coming through with the Lina right clicks and the shoving out that Febby can get done here.
Oh, Mamang Daya TP'd right into Bok, but he does avoid the Rolling Thunder. It's like Bok would have... Oh, LYM!
Ooh.
Yeah, tips come out from Carlo. LYM, he copped the Dragon Slave and the Fade Bolt. He just blow up. It's one of the things with the Hoodwink, John. You don't really have much HP.
Top lane, Mike.
Top lane, who are we chasing? Oh, it's going to be Jacroy. Getting caught out here by Carlo. I always talk about this, John, when it comes to Carlo's Rubik, but you don't want to give this much gold away to the Rubik of all things. People will remember how well BDZ plays this Rubik, and oh, Carlo, he's the same person. It's a scary time.
Yep, he's building up. He's already got the arcane boots. It's going to allow them to also shove in the top tier 1. Not the situation Apes wants to find themselves in. They're the ones with the Leshrac. They're the ones that would want to shove in a wave after a fight. Instead, they managed to capitalize on that isolation of the Lesh. And now you're going to have the tower advantage. TNC's top jungle clears up for Yoe to farm. There is still some time to TP in, but the tower is very unhealthy. It should just fall, and a couple of assets love the fortify as well. No deny out from Jacroy, and they find everything they want there.
Yeah, LYM, he went for a bushwhack but never threw out the acorn shot, which is one of the most annoying things about this hero. For anyone that doesn't play Hoodwink, acorn shot range is so much lower than bushwhack, so you've got to make sure acorn shot goes out first. Otherwise, the game automatically just throws the bushwhack instead.
Yep. It's, it keeps it balanced, Mike. I feel like having those two at the same range would be a bit too far-reaching, so...
Oh, come on, John. It wouldn't.
Blink's an annoying little thing, It's an annoying little squirrel. It is really strong as it is, and it's just a balancing mechanic, Mike. Again, this is the reason why you aren't Ice Frog, because you would do silly stuff to Phoenix, you do silly stuff to Hoodwink. You are a sick man, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I am, John, but I think I'm right in saying what I said. Like, why is Acorn Shot such a lower range than Bushwhack is? Like, why can Tinker refresh all his spells anytime he wants, but I can't stun somebody? Why is that, John?
Because that's Tinker. It's his ultimate. This is the laning spell. Although, okay, what if you switched out the range of Acorn Shot and Bushwhack? What if the range is changed? Like, Acorn Shot was longer range, Bushwhack was shorter. Would you be happy?
Well, that would force you to build things like Maelstrom on Hoodwink, and you'd have to abuse Acorn Shot instead of Bushwhack, which... It's like Earth Spirit changes. Like, they changed Boulder Smash and Rolling Boulder. For what? You know? That's what it feels like to me.
Alright, Mike, fair enough. Still, steady game here, 5-4, less than 1k lead coming out for TNC. The Apes still not managing to find an objective yet. They are still keeping up well in farm, and they are clearing out the Ancients that was stacked up. Jikori will take that in the end. And the top 3 network cores are all from Dire, so this slower pace of game has benefited them. They are managing to hit those item spikes they need. Armlet already up in the lull, so he should be able to just jump in and rip people apart, and he could find a nice hero in February now.
They can try. Sharpshooter is going to land. Delol trying to move in for a rift, but is not going to be able to get within range. We never saw the Bushwhack flying out from LYM either. He's actually opting to go for the Veil build-up as well on the Hoodwink, which is... It's higher value on this hero to pick up the Veil, considering how cheap it is. But without the Aether Lens, the hero does feel kind of awkward to play, right? Like, you've got to get real close, which again is very annoying.
Yeah. It still works out for this lineup. I mean, you have a Lesh, you have a Quap. That Spell Amp's just super valuable, and it just helps you burst down these heroes a lot faster, especially that TB, pre-BKB. So, really great value pickup for the rest of the team. I think LYM, he's one of those players that's willing to, you know, have a tough game himself as long as it makes it easier for the rest of his team, and that is an item that allows that. A bit of a smoke out from the Apes. The lull. Phantasm was popped to farm, but he's got his back up in UK. They could go for the Inkswell play with a Reality Rift, but there's no one up top. They're all mid here.
Oh, wait a minute. Where's the defense? TNC, they've popped the meta. They are committed, because it looks like TNC actually want to force a fight. LYM, though, with a very nice Bushwhack into a Sharpshooter. They might just blow up Bok before the fight even starts. As Bok still trying to run, will get the Swashbuckle away barely with the Sonic Wave. It's not going to land. Oh, Mamang Daya, he barely misses. So they won't find the Pango. The TNC Predator, they won't find the tier 1 mid tower either. Not yet.
They managed to drop it really low. That was a really good blinding light out from Febby, just pushing away the lull, ensuring that the hits wouldn't land, and saving Bok's life pretty much with just that one little play. So TNC don't lose out on much. The Apes doesn't either, but they miss out on an opportunity. They are still buying time for their 2 cores. And Jikroy and Mamangdaya are farming up. You already have the Kaya up on our Quap here for Mamangdaya. So his damage output's feeling a lot stronger. Double null. The cost, again, isn't that bad for him to cast his full spells. Just looking for the Sanj next to have some of that stat resist up front. And it's at that point where the Quap does hit that mid-game spike. So you have to worry about all of that lining up. Jikroy, already done with a Hood of Defiance, can stand in the front line, working onto his own Ewels and Kaya next. Not too far off from those items as well. So you are hitting some good spikes here.
TNC, so they might try to force another fight here, John. Bok, he'll go for the Rolling Thunder. They saw the lull on that CK, but again, it's going to be rather hard to catch him. He'll run towards 1,000. Bok is still going to chase him down and does land the stun, but it's going to amount to nothing. Meanwhile, top lane. Well, TNC, it seems like their only interest is pushing in lanes right now and making sure the Apes can't move in to take those tier 2 towers. And I think that is fair, considering that you are still far behind on this Lena and this Terrorblade. But that appears to be the only real game plan right now for TNC. Just make sure the waves are constantly pushed out.
I think that's fine. It's a bit awkward when you're behind a net worth, but your lineup does scale really well, though.
Oh boy, they messed that up real big time. Yo, I guess assuming the lift range would be a bit larger, but yeah, it just lands a stun a little bit short.
It would have been a massive kill if they found that too. Fresh BKB up on Yoa. That meant that they could have transitioned to the mid tower, force a bigger fight.
Jikroy, yeah, he's moving back in, John. Not sure about this one, though. He is going to try and tank through the damage. Yoa, he'll pop the BKB and try to go for the chase, though one more hit would do it. It's not enough yet. In the meantime, the lull, he is going to drop. And they can even move on to LYM. They'll find a second here for Young God. That's going to really escalate his own net worth now, Jonathan. Top of the net worth board is the Terrorblade. And Young God, he's thinking about Roshan.
Not the most time left in that Metamorphosis, but you do have damage output from Yoe, so it shouldn't be too bad of a take here onto the Rosh. The Apes, without the Hoodwink, feels really hard to jump in there. Mamang Dai is not even showing up for the Rosh. They don't have vision in the area from the Apes. So should be smooth going. TNC, with a second life up, going to feel a lot stronger in the follow-up fights. They've gotten all the towers they want from the tier 1s, opening up the top jungle way more, and they will hand that Aegis over to Young God. So RTB, pretty much ready to go. It's still a bit early, just the Manta style, no Scotty up yet, no secondary ultimate orbs for the stats, but just showing up at the right time, having the Metamorphosis ready to go. He does have a lot of impact in these engagements, and for the Apes, it feels like they're taking it just a little bit too slow here, Mike. Like, you've got a Quap, you've got a Lesh, you've got a CK. These are very mid-game tempo heroes, and it doesn't feel like the Apes are looking for opportunities themselves. They're just farming up. They feel satisfied with the build-up, but you have to worry about that power spike difference. Like, Terribly, Lina, they scale a lot better in this game.
Bot, he's going to try and move in on Jikroy. Does get the Diffusal Blade off onto the Lash Rack, into the Rift there from Carlo, and they've controlled him up perfectly. Yules will be there, but it should not help as Jikroy finally going to drop, as they can move in for more now. A complete mess of a team fight. They've lost UK, but a big Sonic Wave out through 3 heroes. But Delol, he's still trying to fight the Blinding Light. It's not going to be enough, but it won't matter. TNC are still the ones winning up this fight. As the Apes got to find a way to get Mamang Dyer out of here. He does have the blink up though, he'll be fine. It does seem like TNC do come out on top of that fight though.
They find a lot more. They lose Bach, they lose Carlo, but they find 2 big cores for their efforts. And they save their tier 2. There's a little bit of pressure coming out from the Apes. That's probably the first time we've seen them, really take the map initiative to work onto an objective, to force a team fight. Doesn't quite line up their way. I don't think you want your Lesh to be frontline. Like, yeah, he's got the ults, he's got the Hood of Defiance. He is relatively tanky in that way and installed the fight. He's still really squishy. Doesn't have the highest EHP. That job should still be the lull. You want the CK to be one jumping in. He's got the blink up. He can disrupt these fights a lot better. And you want the Lesh to just stand, survive, and get some long-term damage over a prolonged team fight.
What lane? LYM might try to
Dyer's
find
top
Carlo.
tower is under attack.
Won't bother in the end. He was recalled away here, Carlo, as the top tier 2 tower is going to drop very
Dyer's
easily
top
for
tower has
TNC.
fallen.
They might just go for more. They just force them back, make them TP towards the top tier 3
Radiant
tower.
structures
In the
are
meantime,
fortified.
TNC, well, they bring Bok back as well. They might just actually commit for the tier 3 now. Mamang Dyer, he'll back off.
Dyer's structures are
Where's the
fortified.
TP rotations? No TP, no TP, no TP from Apes. Young
Oh,
God,
God.
they've already got LYM down. Nobody else has a TP available. They've got to make the old-fashioned run-up. And TNC, they seem to know this. They'll keep going. Mamang Dyer, the only one around to try and defend this, but it seems like that's going to be enough anyway. TNC will not be able to get a tier 3 tower, but they sure as hell waste a lot of time here from the AP Sports.
Yep, the Apes were caught in a position where they walked back from their push on tier 2. In trying to defend, they kind of don't find a tower trade. They don't get substantial damage on tier 2. And TNC just gets to work the map a lot more. They take over the top jungle once more. They force the movement out. They find a kill. They still have a little bit of time on that Aegis, about a minute 40. So much more time for Young God to walk back up there if they want to. And only about 900 gold away from the full Scotty. So terribly, it's going to be that big menace now. We're approaching that point where the itemization on TB makes it very hard to hold him down. You're going to have to find a really good angle, chain stuns with your CK, with your Hoodwink, with your Lesh. Easier said than done in this match.
Bok gonna try and move in onto the Lash Rack. It's a great target if you can control Jikroy long enough. In the meantime, they found Young God. That'll be the Aegis gone. Jikroy still in big trouble as Lift is there. Carlo, Bok still getting to work, but they are slowly dying to this Lash Rack. Jikroy, though, being chased down by Carlo, but they missed the split earth. It won't matter on the left side of things. They've still got Young God controlled up on that TV, but he's being held up here by Bebby as Delol is still trying. Sharpshooter out. They finally found the Terror Blade towards the north, though. Yo has shown up as well. Onto UK they go. They might get a 4th, and they will. So they lose their TB, but they get 4 heroes as a trade. I'd call that a pretty big win for TNC.
Oh yeah, definitely a win, Mike. Even though you lose a TB, Yo is also a scaling core, so him finding kills isn't too bad at all. And you're putting a dent in the Apes' little recovery spike. They've still got a lot of presence with their initiation. They've still got a lot of damage coming through from the CK and the Lesh. And they just managed to split up enough that TNC punishes it. Like, it takes way too long to kill off the TB, it takes way too much commitment. Because of that, Aegis, Yo is just there to clean up, and now he's got his Shadow Blade. He's working towards the travel. It's probably the Silver Edge next, and then Arlena's output's also going to be ridiculous in this fight. It's just down to scaling again. The Apes, they feel really strong for the first 25 minutes. Their lineup should feel really strong for the first 25 minutes or so. We're reaching almost 25, and they just haven't found enough.
Among Dyer, can they burst him down in time? Maybe they can. He's still dropping, but no, the blink away. He's going to make it. Instead, Carlo is going to be the one to drop on the Rubik. Is Bok going to find the lull, but is just going to roll away instead. Jikroy now thinking about trying to move in, but can't really find a target with that Yule Scepter. But they can certainly try to go after this T1 mid tower, and that's exactly what they'll do.
Yep. They've got Edict, they can just AFK in the tree line, find a fast objective, and now we're seeing the Apes again, just trying to take aggression. It is shaping up, and they find a kill, not the biggest, but you'll take what you can get at this point, and you find a good objective. So you're evening out map control, you can take control of the bot jungle a lot better here for the Apes, and you know, you're starting to ramp up. BKB is being built up by Jikroy, you're also getting the BKB up for the Lull, and that takes away a lot of the bite of the Lina. The Laguna's not going to feel particularly great at this point as well. It's not like you tend to go for the Ags at all now in Lina. So you don't have that instantaneous burst to handle these big heroes anymore, and that does give the Apes an opening. They've still got to play this really aggressive style. I think you still have to punish TNC for having a lineup that wants to farm, but they are still finding farm in TNC anywhere. Like, look at Young God, Mike. Scotty up, BKB next. Once that BKB is up from Terrorblade, I'm not sure how you kill this guy off.
Well, they got their Bok. Barely able to get the Rolling Thunder in time. Carlo, he'll go for a chase with the Rift out. They might just secure Young God. In fact, never mind Delol. Still being chased down. Will cop the stun, and Yoe, a very nice rotation with TNC. Do manage to find the CK. They'd love a bit more. Fairby, he'll go for a chase onto LYM, but LYM gonna make it to the triangle, should be just fine. And TNC, do they get anything out of this kill? Maybe not, but they certainly buy a bit more time here for Young God, and, well, hell, even Yoe. I think they'll be more than happy with that.
Yeah, you can just afford to take it slow. You're finding some big kills regardless in these exchanges, and you are building up in that TBN Lina. Again, the BKB is not too far off here for Young God. The Silver Edge is not too far off for Yoa, so their output's just going to be insane from a mile away, and they can just play for the safe objectives. Go for the tier 1, start to clear out these outer towers.
Oh, could be a big team fight though. Jikroy in with the Bushwhack and the Sharpshooter. They should have enough damage, and they will. Sonic Wave from Among Dai making it barely there in time before the Sunder could be committed. Young God getting bursted. Wait, oh, Yoe, not you too. They find another. I don't know if you can allow the TB to frontline like that. Problem is, I guess you don't have another hero that can do it.
I mean, you could start with Bok up front instead, have him be the sacrificial lamb, gets a shield crash off the middle, you're fine, and Terrorblade's gonna come up and clean up. That's really awkward, because they were just pushing in, they saw the TPs come out for TNC, they make the decision to just stay around and keep pushing, and they get punished. Yoa is not quite in position to sneak through the back just yet. He ran around the triangle to sneak into the behind of that tier 1, so they didn't have a good counterfight set up, and again, you're giving these opportunities to the Apes to bounce back in. They are still building up. They've still got a lot of presence on hand. We are seeing the Shivas being finished up by Jikroy, just lacking the recipe now. BKB for the lull, just lacking the recipe as well. So these heroes still have a lot of impact if you allow them to, and you just can't do that. Maybe once you have the BKB on Young God, it feels a lot better, but even then, that kind of upfront move is relatively easily punishable by the side of the Apes here if they find a good angle.
Oh, absolutely, and they can push so darn quick if they do get that good team fight going. The top lane Bok, you have to get the defusal off onto UK, and that'll be a nice easy kill onto the Grimstroke. Meanwhile, bottom side, what they got, Jikroy trying to move in with a double stun out onto Carlo, but he is going to go down. Bok will try to return the favor though. Onto Jikroy he goes, does get the purge off. Among Dai even going to get caught out here on the quad in a very awkward corner. He has just been locked down here by Bok. He just can't move. BKB finally comes out to allow him to blink away. They will find LYM in the end. Very, very messy. but it is going to be a 1-for-2 trade across the map.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, not the biggest kills they'd want, and you're still seeing issues with keeping that quap down. Your control is just not good enough. Your support control isn't particularly great there,
Dire's bottom
and
tower
you
is
are
being
relying more on Bach and Yoic to pick up the pace there. So every single time Mamang Daya builds out, you're going to be feeling happy on the Apes. I think we could see some different itemization for Bach. He is going for the BKB, which is, again, very useful against the Apes lineup, but I think we want to see a Basher here for Bach. Like, once you have the Basher, BKBs don't matter on your
Dire's
opposite
bottom
side.
tower
You have
is under
another way
attack.
of keeping that Queen of Pain down. And with the Swash, you're likely to get a bash off every single time you use it, because it is a lot of attacks in
Radiant's
one
top
set.
tower
So
is under attack.
I would love to see that for Bach. We'll see if he itemizes it for it later. And DKB is still great. But again, you're having some issues with lockdown, and Mamang Daya is very, very well aware of that up front. He's doing a great job on the Quap to be really disruptive in these fights, just forcing TNC to only find supports, you know, making them work a lot harder for those kills, and buying time for the rest of the team to still keep farming. BKB up on the Lull, Shiva's up on Jacroy, Leshrak is a lot tankier now, CK can just man fight. It still takes certain ideal circumstances in splitting TNC up, but we've seen it happen for the Apes before. They can force TNC into those awkward situations.
Going back to your point about teamfight, though, like it kind of makes me ask the question: what is the point of this offlane CK? Because what have we really seen it do this game? Do you feel like it's doing much, John?
I think it is. I think the Lull's still having a great time up front. He focuses a lot of heroes on him. And if they are focused on him, it frees up Mamang Daya, it frees up Jikroy to just survive, do more damage over time. If he catches out the support, it's really big as well. So this here is really good in terms of pick-off. They do get scanned with a smoke, though.
Yeah, it's a very nice scan. Young God, though, still sticking around as Mamang Daya does reveal that he is in the pit there for a second. Still looking for a way in as the Lull going to move in, but the BKBs have been popped. Sonic Wave is going to push them back very nicely, but Bok, he's happy to move into the backside with the Rolling Thunder, but he'll be locked down. It's not a great fight so far for TNCs. It looks like the Apes might just find Bok here before he does end up getting away, and they will. A nice start, as they'll even scan out the Roshan pit with the Sharpshooter. And TNC now, they've got to find a way to use this meta. It's only got half its duration left. And if that ends up expiring, you might just see the Apes force Roshan.
It's a bit of an awkward situation for TNC. Their BKBs are down. So even though the Apes also commit their BKBs, they have a lot more magic damage for the Lesh. They have a lot of control with the CK, with the Hoodwink. So they're kind of forced to just back off from Rosh. It's not safe without the Pangolier and his Rolling Thunder. The Apes can try for it, and they will.
Absolutely. But no Metamorphosis, no BKBs. There's just no reason not to.
They've got the flying creep though, Mike. They see right into the pit here from TNC.
What a balance creep we're looking at right now, Jonathan. Just full vision over the Roshan pit. Who needs a Beastmaster as Soulbind is out? Carlo! He gets two of them with the Laguna. Delol's already gone. The Roshan, it's anyone's game as the double lift is there. Carlo, he won't let them get in. They've got the Roshan on Yoe as he pops the BKB and he wants to go for the fight. Even Young God showing up, but maybe he shouldn't have as he's locked down, but it won't matter. UK, he'll be the one to drop. Zioe, he'll have a look around for a bit more and he might just fight Jacroy with the stun out. It's just perfect. They have the vision with that flying creep. They'll find Jacroy, no problem. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, OIM, he's going to try to run out of here. Bok should have his way with him though. He does land the stun in the end. With the swashbuckle and the follow-up, they'll have plenty. An ultra kill out for Yoe. I'll tell you what, John, that Harpy Stormcrafter, it did so much work for TNC.
Yeah, that's a clutch hump to Dominator buy from Febby. Just taking that creep. It's such a nuisance. And the vision game is just ridiculous. It's mad. Just vision if you hit. Oh,
Well, he blinked in very aggressively there, John. He'll blink in again. He really wants to find Bok as the Lol's going to be there, but the blinding light on the Sonic Wave, it's completely off the mark. Bok, he will finally drop. They actually end up finding the Lina as well. Maybe they can find Yoa a second time. They're going to try. Yoa, rifted back, cannot survive. They'll look for more now. Onto Ferry they go. They want the Keeper of the Light and they've got him. Still a very close matchup between TNC Predator and the Apes, because they find 3 for 1.
yeah, a little bit scattered out from TNC. You know, you weren't quite ready to fight on Young God. He wasn't in a position to really join in. They get caught off guard. Good punishment from the Apes, saving their high ground and still showing us that they've still got a lot of output. AC up on Mamang Dai. That's an interesting one. I expected something like the Shivas, but I suppose he's the one that can get in up front. And he's going for the Scotty next, so he's going for a little bit of a right-click quap. Interesting choice, but I do feel like they do lack right-click outside of the lull, so they want some scaling up from Mamang Dai as well. Oh.
Jump right in. Carlo immediately just deleted. Delon, he asked the question, what can you do? I do actually agree with the AC pickup anyway, John, because you've got the Shiva's Guard on the Leshrac. Speaking of, now you've got an Aghanim Scepter on UK. He can take that Dark Portrait off the Terrorblade and use it against TNC. Even without the Metamorphosis, it is quite strong. But they'll back off after getting quite a bit of damage off onto that tier 3 tower. But going back to my point, I think AC on the Quap and Shivers on Jikroy, it seems perfectly fine.
Yeah. I actually don't mind something like double Shivas, depending, because it's not like Jikroy is going to be completely upfront all the time. But the AC still has a lot of benefits. It helps amp up the damage for the Lull, who isn't going for an AC himself. He is going for... Not quite sure what he's going for. I don't quite see the queue up. But you do have that build-up coming out for the CK. I kind of wanted to say he's going for Aether Lens, but I don't know about that. Maybe into an Octarine. Yeah, he does have the Aether Lens, so longer reach on Reality Rift. And the Bolt could go into that build-up into the Octarine as well. More uptime for the CK is always great. And he is going more utility in that way. And you have to admit, the Reality Rifts plus the Blink, pulling all these heroes back from such a mile away, from such range, has been really throwing TNC off. That's where the value of the CK is at. You've got the Spell Piercing Reality Rift now, if Spell Immunity Piercing Reality Rift, so the BKBs don't matter. And those Phantasm Illusions still deal a lot of damage when they pile onto someone with a Chaos Strike. So there is still some scaling coming through, despite having that Lina and the TV on the side of TNC. You've managed to keep the Apes close enough that they still have a lot of output themselves here, Mike.
Oh, I certainly agree with that, John. And yeah, like you mentioned, with the Aether Lens, you pull in the Lina. Even with the BKB, she's not going to feel very safe against CK. And the Quap, of course. You can still pierce it with the Sonic Wave. So TNC, they're going to smoke up. Jikroy is down to the bot side of the map and may get caught out. So he does move back into his triangle. In fact, never mind. He'll run through the bot lane. That'll be enough for him to be able to get away from TNC, who are on the hunt right now. Just unable to find a target that they'd like to take down. Or just any target for that matter. That'll be about it. Like, you've even got the TB Illusions trying to scout out for the team, but the TNC, they find absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and this is a lot of time for the Apes to kind of still keep farming up. They will pop another smoke, so really forcing the issue here. It is sort of blind. They don't have the best vision on TNC right now, but let's see if they catch someone out.
Well, UK, not the greatest target, but they'll take what they can get right now as UK actually going to blink out of there, and Yo is not going to be able to catch him.
Oh, no.
Jeez, a second smoke just being completely wasted by TNC. Keep in mind this whole time, John, they're just running across the map, not farming. As Young God, he will move his attention over to the bottom tier 2 tower now. But the same thing's happening up at top lane. Mamang Dai with a double damage rune just takes care of it on his own. So it's an even trade in that sense. And hell, Mamang Dai, he's getting very close to that Eye of Skadi. In fact, there you go.
God.
He just buys it outright.
Yeah, this is scary. The right-click Quap is doing a ton of damage. It's very mobile. You still have the control issues here for TNC unless Carlo gets a big steal. So you're relying on the Rubik to kind of help follow through with the control. They are getting some decent work done on tier 3. They're keeping their illusions here. They're still all clumped up. And the Apes are still working the map a little bit better with that split up. You know, they're still finding a lot more farm. And they're still able to hold. Feels like both teams will be waiting for that next Roche, Mike. About 2 minutes until we see that respawn timer. And TNC, again, just looking for someone to overstep. Carla does have really long reach with that telekinesis now, with the Aether Lens up and the max arcane supremacy. So you can drag someone all the way in. Just got to find the right heroes. The Apes are going for a smoke themselves now.
Yeah, mid lane, smoke on smoke situation. As Apes, I think they saw that smoke. They may have seen a glimmer of the smoke on the tail end of things. Jikroy, he's going to try and back off before they do make their way over. And the Apes, they might just be happy. Like, knowing that TNC has wasted all their smokes just running across the map getting nothing. But maybe now they can finally find this Leshrac. And that'll be a decent pickup if they can land the stun. But Bok, he gets stuck. He's going to try and use the roll-up and keep chasing Jacroy. But the BKB's there. He might just TP out. And there you go. He'll just TP right out of there. Back towards the fountain. In the meantime, there's going to be another fight being forced out, though I'm not sure about this one. Delol, he's got him by himself. But they still can't punish. The BKB just enough to allow him to get away and just reset.
Yeah, that's an opening for TNC. They know some of the spell immunities down. If they catch any of these heroes out, they will go for the outpost take. The Apes still in a good position to fight back, though, Mike. They're only really lacking Mamang Daya, who can just TP back onto the base anyway, as he is split pushing. And again, every single time you have skirmishes like this, it favors the team with a hero farming elsewhere. And right now, that's the Apes. Mamang Daya is just still building up, still working in the bot lane, keeping the wave shoved in, working towards the Satanic. Our Pop is becoming really hard to pin down. Level 25 talent, you've got the free Lincolns, you've got the BKB, the AC for durability, the stats from the Scott Ealing. We've already seen before when they tried to gank up Mamang Daya, the stuns are lacking. With all the dispels on hand on him now, I don't know if you can even pin this guy down.
Yeah, and that Satanic is going to make it borderline impossible to kill him off. Unless you could just constantly stun him up. And we have seen problems from TNC in that sense. Just being able to kind of chain all the stuns. Just hasn't really been there this game. The AP Sports looking to move in through that mid lane, maybe force a fight. Mamang Daya is so confident, but that was a very aggressive blink in. He might get punished for this. They're going to try and help him out. Mamang Daya with the BKB barely surviving. 100 HP, and he'll walk out of there. Bok could not get in with the swashbuckle in time. In the meantime, though, Jacroy with the soulbind being used up, he'll move in, but it's all by himself. One by one, they go down. Mamang Daya, I mean, he's tanky, but he's going to be careful. You can't blink in like that.
Yeah, and the rest of his team wasn't ready to back him up just yet. Sacrificing Jacroy is actually pretty big. That's a lot of your damage output. That's a lot of your presence just taken out. And now Roshan is open. Not too much time left on Metamorphosis for Young God, but they do have damage output to deal with that Rosh. They've still got the Lina. And for the Apes, they can't afford to let this one go for free. Does have the free Ag's Blessing as well. Going to be massive for Young God if he does take it for himself. Having that secondary Metamorphosis timing to play with. And the Apes just aren't in position now because of that last fight. So you've got a second life ready to go. You've got the free Ags as well. That went
oh, they land the stun. Carlo, he'll break the Lincolns. Do they find him this time around? Not quite. Mamang Daya, a big sonic wave with the light strike array. Again landing completely blind. They've got the quap. They know where she's going. Bok, he'll land the stun and Mamang Daya. Oh, that is not good news if you're the Apes.
very, very bad news. At the very least, you do have buybacks ready here. You have to deal with 2 lives on TB. You have to deal with that terror wave up on Young God with a free Ag's Blessing now. And that's so much more Young God has to play with. You know, he's not quite at this level 25, but he's still got this massive window where they could force the buybacks. They could just shove in the mid, start looking for those high ground objectives, and really secure an advantage here. As the Apes, again, they've held out really well. You know, they've ridden through a point where it feels like their power spike really starts to fade off, but it's been a little bit messy. It just feels like the coordination's not on point in some of these engagements, and they've got to work as a team here.
Stun out onto the TB, but a nice 4-star for away, and now the terror wave being committed. They even throw him back in. Carlo reading the movement, wants the fight to keep going, but they've lost the Aegis now. It may not be the fight they wanted. Bok, he barely survived.
All right, ladies and gents, if you are watching from in-game, we have lost Mike Phoenix for a moment. The internet has cut off. I don't even know if this works. We see a really big defense coming out from the Apes, taking out the 2 lives on Young God, and they are managing to keep themselves in this game. Somehow, Satanic fully up on Mamang Daya. So our Quap is really durable, as long as you don't get chain stunned, as we saw before. And we'll see now if the Apes has that opportunity to go high ground. Such a back and forth match between these 2 teams so far. The side of the Apes barely hanging on, but every single time they're pressured, they do find that opening, and they start to play as a team. Hello, Mike.
My apologies to you and the viewers, Jonathan. The internet completely disconnected there for about a minute. I know we were mid-team fight, John, and it was very annoying to cut off at that exact moment. Hold that thought, because we are going to have another team fight. Young God's going to move in. Meta already popped, and UK already gone. As they try onto the lone, they've got another. Carlo with the Sonic Wave, able to get the damage out in time. But John, could you tell us what happened before I disconnected?
Well, there was that massive high ground team fight coming up from the Apes. We saw them manage to take Young God's Aegis and life away, and really still hold on to their tier 3 towers. It just feels like when the Apes are pushed against a wall and, you know, they're stuck in this area together, they do work as a team well. When they're running around the map, though, you know, kind of getting picked off, that's where it gets a bit shaky. But their high ground defense has been on point. They're going to have to do it again. I think they're going to need to expend that buyback on the CK if they want to have a good chance. A lot of their great burst is coming out from the Phantasm, the hits with that Chaos Strike. We'll see, though. Basher is already up in box. You can have that disruptiveness on the Pangolier. But Young God has to be careful about getting caught out like this.
I slipped up. Carlo again. The Terror Wave is not going to land. Mamang Daya does get the BKB off. Still trying to force his fight. But he has to blink away. Yo, it. We'll just keep at it. From a range, but it doesn't seem like TNC want to keep going too far. They are going to back for now. There is a double damage rune up at the top rune spot. And, well, it says Roshan's respawned on my end of things, but I don't believe it has, John.
Nah, it's still about 3 minutes until we see that timer. It kind of bugs out when you disconnect.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But it's still about 3 minutes until we see the respawn there, Mike. I'm surprised TNC back out. They still had their BKB on Young God. You know, they still had Metamorphosis running for a little bit in that Terror Wave. I guess they want a full reset. It's another opportunity for the Apes to gather their resources, you know, gather their wits about, and look for another opportunity. Because, again, Apes have been showing really good fight. And TNC, it's been back and forth. Sometimes they find this massive opening. Sometimes, you know, we see Carlo pull off these big steals, disrupt a fight. Bach gets a good roll. And other times, it feels like there's some hesitation. They're not going all in on what they could have. Although, I guess the simplifies matters, Mike. Ags up on Febby. Will-O-Wisp there for the teamfight control. So they have wider control outside of just a roll. This could catch the Apes off guard if they're not ready.
Yeah, but you've got Scythe Device now up on UK as well, so double Hex available. That they've already caught him out. They needed that Scythe Device, but it's gone, and he has no buyback. Into the left rack they go. They are going to jump in still. 2v5, or rather 3v5, but it won't matter. Delol, he'll make it 2v5 now. Mamang Daya and LYM, they have to run. TNC, they'll go for the jugular now, I think. Meta's already up. You might just go for tier 4 towers.
Yeah, you should just go. Like, you've got this massive opportunity. They might not be aware the CK has no buyback though, and that could be what holds him back. We'll see how much Jacroy can do to kind of bait that out. Mamdai is back as well. Harder without their heroes here though.
They're going to wrap around. They're going to go for the second lane of barracks instead, and maybe into the megas. They do have Terror Wave to abuse later on if they really want. Bushwhack. They'll slow it down quite nicely here with LYM. Still rolling Thunder, Box setting up. Mamang Daya able to get the BKB off in time. Still in big danger though as the bash does land, but he is going to blink. Be okay for now. Problem is they can't protect this top lane of barracks. Jacroy is trying his absolute best, but he's been caught out. This might be a tieback, and it will be. Down for 2 minutes. TNC, they should have plenty of opportunity now to go for the megas and try to put a little in this game number 1.
They've got a big window. They managed to get a lot of resources away from the Apes. They aren't quite fully committing onto the bot yet, but Young God at least is walking his way over, and he does have a refresh shop. He's going to be able to just refresh the meta if he wants to. No creep wave coming through yet. That bot lane is shoved out. But the rest of the lanes will shove in their favor. They should have that opportunity here.
Tier 3 bottom tower. No, they're actually going to back for a bit. Oh, Mamang Daya, that's aggressive. Blink in once again. Lift is going to land. Line Strike Array out. Mamang Daya, what have you done? He'll buy it back. He'll try again. But maybe the fake back there from TNC was the whole idea, as Mamang Daya again going to aggressively blink in. He's going to be so wary of Carlo, though. Again? Aggressive blink? Are you sure about this, Mamang Daya? You're alone right now, but TNC may not be aware. The Inkswell is gonna land, Mamantaya. What are we doing?
Oh my god.
I don't understand. I don't understand, John. LIF. Why?
There's a lot I don't understand in this game, Mike. A lot has happened that is very confusing.
Yeah, I mean, they've already called GG. You may as well jump in. Have one more. Carlo, just way too good on the Rubik this game, I reckon. Even have the Aghanim Scepter up, and TNC, they do claw out game number 1 here against the Apes Sports.
Yeah, they make it work. It felt like they had the advantage for a long time, but the Apes were finding some opportunities to swing the game back their way. A lot more evenly matched than you'd expect. I think the Apes managed to, again, pull out really good moves. They had really great high ground defense, punishing Young God for overextending, punishing Yoe for being off guard, just mispositioning just a bit, all off the back of the CK. What are you able to rip? Not quite enough to close out the game. Late game decision making for the Apes, maybe getting a bit too hasty. I'm just jumping in. Mamangdaya, he feels like this big core that can't be held down. Eventually, they had enough chain stunts. He had a lot of ways of popping that spell block on his talent, and he just overstays his welcome a bit. So we'll see if the Apes kind of repair that by game 2. TNC looking good, but again, not an opponent they can take easy here, Mike, as it is looking a lot more even than you'd expect.
I'm looking forward to game number 2 coming up after a very short 10-minute break. So it is MLP johnxfire. We'll be back after a very short break, and hopefully I can go suss out why my internet just disconnected mid-game. We'll see you very soon.